What if the thing that everybody's scared of, being lonely, is the one thing that actually sets you free? I'm 61 and I was really scared about growing old on my own and being lonely, being a little lonely old lady. But quite honestly, I'm loving every minute of it at the moment. I'm 61 and I'm solo, but brace yourselves, I'm not remotely panicked about it anymore. In fact, the older that I get, the more I realise that living on your own isn't lonely. It's not emptiness. It's actually what I would call space. I know a lot of people assume that people who live alone, and mostly women, I guess, if you're over 60, that you must be really lonely or sad or secretly on every single dating site there possibly is. But the spoiler alert is that I'm not, and I don't think a lot of women are, to be honest with you, and probably most men. I think once you've lived alone and you've got used to it, because there is a period of adjustment with it, and you get over the shock of realizing that it is very possible that you might not grow old with anybody, that you might be a little old lady or a little old man living on their own. So, what I'd like to talk about today is that being single and living alone, it's not scary. I'm finding it liberating. It was, but I've come to terms with it now. And being an introvert, I'm actually loving it, if I'm honest. So I do think that there's a bit of a myth about being lonely in your older age, especially when you're over 60. In my opinion, in today's society, the narrative is, oh, you live alone, you're single, oh, that must be lonely. But for me, it's the opposite actually. I choose to be alone. I choose not to go on dating sites and try and find a partner. I choose to live alone. And I find that quite liberating. I like my own company. I don't. Yes, there are times sometimes where I feel like I'm crawling up the walls of my flat, but in those cases, then I can just, jump in my car and go and see my kids, or I can go out for a walk. I live near some lovely walks. But I very, very rarely feel lonely or alone in the way that society deems alone to be. I can sit here in my living room and get really bored of the TV program that I'm watching and turn the television off and just sit and be peaceful in my own company and listen to the silence, let my thoughts wander, and just be. And I don't think that's something that, or for me, I find doing that. Well, I'm not going to judge anybody that doesn't do it, but for me, I find that really, it really soothing. Actually, I find it really soothing. The difference between loneliness and solitude is so misunderstood and so misinterpreted by a lot of people. I understand that as an introvert, extroverts won't understand this at all. And I think even for my family, it's difficult sometimes for them to understand that I like to be on my own, and that I will say no to doing babysitting duties or turn down a lunch or turn down a dinner family do or something if I feel that I don't want to participate. I mean, those are few and far between because I really do enjoy seeing my family. But they've learnt that it's not me being difficult, it's not me being unsociable, although you could argue that it is, but I don't. It's me being me, and I think I've earned the right to do that. Solitude is being in control of your environment, living your life the way that you want to, investing your energy in what you want to, and your time. Everything in your bubble, everything in your atmosphere, world, it's everything is as you choose it to be. And that for me has been an eye opener. It's not something I thought that I would ever want. It's not something I ever thought I would have. But it's been a joyful experience. It's been a joyful conclusion, that there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me wanting to be alone. There's nothing wrong with me loving my solitude. I've had volatile relationships. So living alone and not having to worry about the other person, what type of mood they're in, whether they're angry, whether they're upset, whether I'm going to upset them with something that I say, all of that is gone, because it's just me. I can't upset myself, I don't think. I regulate my environment and my emotions and how I choose to spend my time. And that is a huge freedom, huge freedom. So if I'm not opposed to having another relationship, but at the moment I'm not actively searching for one. And I've been doing a lot of thinking, obviously, because we're coming to the end of the year and we're going into a new year soon. A lot of people will be thinking about what 2026 will be bringing to us. At the end of March, it will be a year since the end of my 10-year relationship. And I gave myself a year to recover from the relationship, but that's probably not the right word and probably not a fair word. But I gave myself a year to be alone and to see how I felt at the end of that year, as to what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, I guess. And of course, thinking about 2026, and I can do what I want and I can go dating if I want to. But the idea is just, it's not given me any big warm rush to do it. There's no enthusiasm to go on a dating site. There's no enthusiasm to go dating. So I guess that means I'm not ready yet, or in fact, I'm unsure whether I'll ever be ready. And I've been reading a lot and seeing a lot, especially over the past, 3 to 6 months, about how men and women are just not partnering up, getting married, being in relationships, like proper mono relationships. It has crossed my mind, of course, that the dating pool that I would be interested in is probably going to be extremely narrow. I think when people have lost partners and become widows or widowers, it's probably hard to find a replacement, and I certainly wouldn't want to be a replacement. I'd like to think that I would be, unique rather than a replacement. And also, if a lot of divorces, an end of long-term relationships, people get hurt, people change their attitudes, people have baggage, and dealing with all that just does not appeal to me at all. I'm not saying that there can't be and there wouldn't be some, really nice guys out there. But you'd have to kiss an awful lot of frogs before you found it, and I'm just not sure I want to go into that murky pond. I think what I would like to put my energy into in 2026 is actually a voyage of discovery or rediscovery of myself. I'd like to have a successful holiday. So I'd like to book myself a long weekend away and enjoy it and actually stay for the full holiday and not get panicked. When you get into your 60s, especially for a woman that's been through menopause and has gone through all of the emotions and ups and downs that come with that, when you hit your 60s, you feel like a new woman, or I do anyway, and looking forward to discovering myself, looking forward to doing the things that I want to do and not having to worry about whether a partner wants to do them or not, and going to places, I get to rebuild my identity as a human being. And that to me is actually quite exciting. I've got over the scariness of being single now. So I can start to plan what I want to do and how I want to do it. I've got my business that I need to have some plans in place and how I see it going forward in 2026. I have the YouTube channel to keep pushing forward, keep moving forward with it. Obviously all my finances are all going to be moving forward, for good or for bad, paying off the debts and saving as much as possible. And people's projections of their own fears and their own mindset has been quite enlightening, in a way, and it's made me realise that I don't need to react to people like I used to do. So quite honestly, I am at this stage I am more worried, scared being the wrong word, but I'm more worried about being in a pointless relationship, in a relationship that's not going anywhere, a relationship where I'm not happy again, and I feel lonely in the relationship again. That's what I'm more scared of, not living and growing old alone. Being single now has definitely increased my confidence in most things. I think going on holiday clearly is something that I need to work on my self-confidence with that. And I still don't think I'll ever be able to sit in a restaurant on my own and have a dinner. But you know what? That doesn't really bother me. My confidence has grown enough in myself now that I feel like I can be and do exactly what I want to do and am meant to do. I guess I'm preparing myself mentally for being alone and living alone. And I'm planning on, I can't say can't, it's not the right word, but I probably won't be living here for the, remainder of my days. So at some point in the future, don't know when, I will be moving from this flat that I love, this particular part of the world that I actually love living in. I know that that's going to come to an end at some point, and I'm okay with that. I'm looking at different accommodation that will be available to me as a senior lady, and I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But I know that that's in my future, and I'm prepared for that. And it's not scary, not to me anyway. So I guess to sum up, I can say that I'm not closed to dating. I'm just not ready at the moment. And if I'm never ready, then it doesn't bother me at all. There's no should do or is expected for me to do. There's nothing like that. It is exactly what I want to do at any one particular point. Maybe it will be 2026 and maybe it won't. But the point is that I'm not putting my life on hold, waiting for the next partner to come along. Being single in my 60s, I don't feel myself to be a failure, although I think if I was speaking to my 20-year-old self, or even 17-year-old self, they probably would have said to me that I would have failed if I wasn't in a relationship, because that's all I wanted back then. That, that and a family and a job and things like that. But here we are, four decades later, and I'm actually loving that. And that would be a very interesting conversation to have with my 17-year-old self about loving living on my own and being completely independent. What I would say to anybody out there that is in a similar situation, I hope that you feel that solitude is not something that you fear, and that growing old alone or living alone is not to be feared, or to be dreaded. So thank you for watching. Been a bit of a waffle this video, so I hope it did make sense. So if you've liked this video, then please give it a thumbs up, and I wish you all the best, and I will see you soon. Take care.